Kylan, you've been a starter now for a couple of years, senior now. Taking any steps toward like maybe becoming more of a senior leader or anything like that?
I think this year is pretty cool for us because we have a lot more experience and players. We don't necessarily have specific leaders or captains on our team, but we have a lot of people who step up into those positions to help lead us, I guess you would say.
Yeah, Kylan, you return as the kills leader and Cameron the digs leader. Availability is obviously key. How do you guys stay healthy in a long season?
I think we work really well with our trainers, whether that be getting in the cold tubs after practice. That tends to be what majority of us do just to stay in shape.
Is there any kind of shared goals or anything? I mean, you made it to the NCAA tournament a couple of years ago. Last year probably didn't end the way you wanted it to. So what are kind of some goals that you have set individually or collectively this year?
I think this year we really want to focus on our side of the net, and I think that because of the depth that we do have this year, we have a high ceiling, and I think winning that conference championship is something we always strive to do, as we've done in years past. So that's definitely a goal. I think making the NCAA tournament again would be another goal for our team, and I think we have the talent to do so.
Something we've talked about all through the summer and then into the start of the season has been not wanting to take our jerseys off at the end of the season. And I think as a whole, we've been super supportive and together and just enjoying every moment so that we know when we get to the end of the season that we've left it all on the court.
What's the process been like to try to replace some people lost to graduation and things like that?
I think that there's always going to be new faces coming into the program, but also we still have some experience left, and so it's always fun to add those new pieces and adding them in the summer and into the season. It's just been super fun to play with this group so far, and I'm excited to see how the season goes for us.
Yeah, speaking of depth, you guys added Barrett and Cheyenne in the off-season. How has the first couple practices with them been?
It's been really fun. Both of them as, upperclassmen, seniors, they definitely have their own experience at their old schools. So it's interesting to hear, stories and just like how they've, handled their college careers. And I think that they fit in really well into our program and the types of people we are. They're fun to be around. They bring energy and they're extremely competitive. So we've loved having them around.
How about the new court? I imagine you haven't had a ton of time on it, but it must be nice that you're at least playing for a program that is kind of putting its money where its mouth is a little bit, so to speak, and invest in the program.
Yeah, it's really awesome. We're extremely thankful to the people that were able to make that possible for us. It just kind of adds another level of excitement, and it's just something that the program's been wanting for a really long time, and we're extremely thankful and lucky to be able to go on and practice on that floor every day.
This fall has been an incredible start. I think we have a very good core group of people returning, and then we've also been able to mix in obviously some new freshmen and then 2 transfers in the offseason as well. So they've meshed really well. I think culture-wise we're in a really good spot. They've developed a lot, or they've done a lot in terms of developing their relationships to make sure that once we did hit the floor that they were as strong of a team as they could be right off the bat. Practices have been extremely competitive. I could not be happier with just where we're at right now, just a few days in. I feel like we are challenging each other. I think they're challenging themselves really well. They're an extremely receptive group to feedback and criticism. I'm just really excited to see how the rest of the preseason progresses, and then for our first kind of point of eval is going to be our next exhibition against UNI.
Has there been any challenges for you as far as kind of the changing NCAA landscape with we're getting out of the COVID years now, but with NILs and transfer portals and stuff, have you found any challenges with that?
I mean, the NCAA is changing, I think, daily at this point in time, and for us, we're just really trying to maintain what we can control, which is what we do in the office, what our players are doing, what they did in the off-season, what we're doing every day in practice, and that's what we're really focusing on right now. The transfer portal is one that obviously has evolved a lot over the last few years, and it is something that we have utilized, but we haven't had to use it to fill a roster. We haven't had to use it to replace a lot of people leaving, which is a good place to be. Both with Barrett and Cheyenne, they filled a need. We only had Avery on the roster after last fall, so we needed another setter, and I think she's a great addition. One, she is challenging, Avery and herself every single day, but she's also a really great person, great teammate, great student, which obviously fits into our culture. Cheyenne, I think, was one that we were pretty specific with what we were looking for in somebody that we would take from the transfer portal, and I think she has checked all the boxes for us. You heard our players talk about it, but those two are very, very good teammates. They're very good people. They're great leaders. They've created a lot of energy within our gym as well. So to go back to the transfer portal, yes, we've used it. We've seen it evolve a little bit, but it's not something that we feel like a need to use, I guess is how I would put it. We're just using it on more of a small basis when we feel like there's a fit that could be there.
I know I was here for the football media day, and it was kind of a point of pride for them that they seem to get more interest for incoming transfers than players leaving. Is that true for you too?
Yeah, I mean, I think every program's different. I think every sport is a little bit different. I can tell you within our program, we just haven't had a lot of attrition. We haven't had a lot of people leave our program. So with that, you see players that have come in and have been able to develop over their time here. So again, we obviously have Cheyenne and Barrett who are kind of on the other side of things, but we have players that are here for 4 years, if not beyond, with some of those COVID years that we've seen being used. And I think with that, you see people come in as freshmen and just how they leave as seniors is a very different player, a very different person. And, that's a testament to what they're doing, what work they're putting in. But I think that is how you develop a program is you bring in and you keep your players in your gym so that they can develop over their time here.
How about competing within the conference? What challenges you see? What's your path towards kind of competing toward the top of the conference?
Well, you saw last year, I think the conference is getting better. I think there was I think every night was a challenge. There was no easy matches, and that's what we want it to be. We want the Summit League to continue to grow. We want it to become more challenging. That's how, our league on the national scale gets better as well, which is going to help us individual programs as well. Going into this season, I think there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of people that have some very, very good players back, or a lot of their players back, but maybe are missing or graduated a key piece, which you actually see with us in some ways right now. So I think there's a lot of question marks, but I think the one thing we can rely on is the fact that it's going to be a tough year. Every single night is going to be difficult. There are not going to be any given wins on any given night, and that's the type of volleyball we want to play. We want to play the best. We want to challenge ourselves every single day, which we're doing in our own gym, so we can step out on the floor and play somebody else. That's what we want to see. That's why our players are here.
Your players said they want to focus on their side of the net this season. Without giving too much away, what can we expect that to look like this season?
I think there's a couple things. One, I think we can be very good with the ball control side of things right now. Defensively, serve, receive, kind of the small ball control situations. I think that's where we can really thrive. And I think that's what people are going to see probably early on. We've always said it, but I think offense comes. Our attacking, it is inevitably going to get better. It's going to get to where you need it to be. But we've always believed that the defensive side of things is something that you have to focus on early on. And if you don't set that standard right away, it's hard to get it back. So I feel really good about that right now. When we think about our side of the net, I think so much of it is just allowing ourselves to play the game at a high level. We do have some new pieces. We've got some very good new pieces, and we also have some very good returning pieces. So it's on us as coaches to kind of figure out what that really looks like on our side of the net. But I do think we've got a lot of depth. And I think with that, you're going to see different people getting different playing time minutes. We may make some more changes than what we have in some past years, and that's a good thing to be able to do and to be able to say. But we've kind of always talked about focusing on our side of the net. That hasn't necessarily changed. I just think it's become a little bit more of a point of emphasis from the volleyball side and then the culture side as well. So I think they're right. I think there's a lot of exciting things ahead, but we have to continue to worry about what we're doing first and foremost in our own gym.
And then 18 and 11 last season, but 6 of those 11 came in the first 7 games. How do you guys plan on, getting a little faster start to the season?
It's hard because I think last year there was a little bit of panic at times set in, whether it was from the team, whether it was from fans, whether it was, even from coaches at times. But those first couple weekends were really, really tough. And I think there was maybe one loss that I would have said was maybe a bad loss, one that probably shouldn't have happened. But the rest of them, I felt like we were challenging ourselves. We play good competition. We have a tough schedule. You guys see that every single year. We're not building a schedule that we know that we should win 11 to 12 matches in the preseason. There are a lot of 50-50 games, if not ones that we're the underdogs for. So with that, we do that on purpose. We do that so that we are challenging ourselves, so that we see what we are good at and what we struggle with, because the best teams are going to show you those things. But I think in terms of trying to get off to a stronger start, I continue to think about going 1-0. I continue to think about just what's in front of us. And right now, obviously, it's practice. We only have one practice today, so it's going 1-0 in practice. And as we get closer to that exhibition, it's going to be doing our best to go 1-0 in that exhibition. And then again, the practice is throughout. And you guys are going to get sick of hearing me say that throughout the year. But it's really important, I think, for myself and to set that example for the team too, is to make sure that we don't get ahead of ourselves. We're not trying to look at the wins versus the losses. And even losses, we all hate them. We're all competitive, but losses can teach you a lot. So, we talk about learning through that failure as well. So, how do we get a faster start? I think we really focus on just taking care of what's presently in front of us.
Can you talk about the advantages of the new court?
Yeah, we're really excited to obviously be able to present that TerraFlex floor in the SCSC. It's something that, since I've been here as long as I have, we have been talking about that flooring for a long time. We knew it was going to be a kind of a what's next for our program, and I'm extremely excited to be able to say that it's no longer a what's next, it's here. And for our players to be able to play on that every single day right now in practices, for us to be able to play our games in there, it transforms the SCSC into a volleyball arena on those game days, and that's extremely special. There aren't many places, especially within our league or even the region at times, that has that, so we feel very fortunate to have that. You see the growth of volleyball a lot right now, not only in South Dakota or not only here at USD, but you see it in the country, and to be a part of kind of that growth and that movement means a lot to us. So I know our players are excited. Physically, it's an advantage. The impact is a little bit easier. I know our liberos and DSs, our defensive players, love when I let them do their individual sessions on the floor as well. It's better on their bodies. So I think over the course of the season, we're going to see hopefully that help us, but there's a lot more advantages than just the physical.